So Joan Collins is trying to sell this dodgy beachfront real estate when, wouldn't you believe it, radioactive waste just kind of washes up on shore, and suddenly the local ants that have just decided that they've had enough of humanity and it's time to fit back. Today I'm talking about Empire of the Ants from 1977, a cult creature feature released by Eureka Classics. And this is one of those films where, I mean, generally you know exactly what you're getting when you pick this one up. It's not a sleek modern horror, it's not a subtle science fiction piece, it's not even a polished monster masterpiece. Giant ants, bad decisions, 70s eco horror anxiety, but you know what? It knows the movie it wants to be, and it does its best to try and deliver on that fun aspect with shoehorning in an eco message later on as well. The film starts with radioactive waste being dumped in the ocean because apparently nobody in the 70s creature features ever thought maybe don't do that. Maybe not put toxic barrels of waste into nature and just assume everything will be fine, because I've seen a lot of movies and I know that's the catalyst for what is going to come. As one of the barrels washes up on this beachfront property, you see the ants start to get into it. Now then we kind of jump to Joan Collins, who's playing Marilyn Fraser. She's gathered together a group of potential buyers or hangers-on who want a tour of this possible paradise. The paradise doesn't last long because the radioactive waste mutates the ants nearby, and suddenly this group of would-be land buyers end up being chased through the wilderness by giant insects with absolutely no interest in property development at all. It's one of those incredibly simple setups, and for the most part you think you kind of know what you're getting. But the film does this really strange twist midway through that I think just elevates a little bit more. For me, one of the reasons the film remains as watchable as it is down to Joan Collins' performance. She plays Marilyn Fraser, the kind of character who absolutely is the pinnacle of this story. She is kind of glamorous, she's pushy, she's definitely self-interested and completely committed to selling this real estate dream that will inevitably turn into a nightmare. And that's fun, because she isn't some innocent victim who accidentally wanders into danger. She's part of the problem.
Think that'll please the bitch?
Ever see anything that did?
What a rip-off. Yeah, she'll bring a boatload of slobs down here and convince them it's paradise.
The film is basically saying here's a scam built on greed, here's pollution caused by human carelessness, and here comes the ants to collect the bill. Collins gives the film a bit of star energy, and honestly it needs that, and her performance is way better than this kind of film deserved. This film is daft. You need someone who can hold the screen even when the effects are doing something kind of questionable. You've got a little bit of power there that drives them home. What surprised me most on the rewatching was something I'd forgot about, was the eco horror angle. Now of course you get the waste at the start of it, and this came out at a period where a lot of horror and science fiction was built around nature turning against mankind, which is definitely a subgenre that I really love. You had the pollution fears, the nuclear anxiety, environmental damage, corporate greed, and the idea that human carelessness was going to come back in a monstrous form. And that's exactly what happens here.
Why don't you try a little of that old world charm that you're so famous for on our guests? I am not running a charity organization.
Later on in the film, it drives into something more, and it brings in a larger scale of a community as well, and I really loved that idea. It was very different to what I expected, and it actually shakes the movie up, giving it something a little bit more. It has, for the most part, that slightly scrappy B-movie energy, but that kind of change in the story just added more to it for me, and I really loved it, because the second half is where this film really changed gear and was really surprising. It's moves into this strange idea of control, a manipulated society, and the ants becoming more than just hungry insects and showing how smart they can actually be. So it changes things up because we get quickly into the action. You feel like the ants are attacking the people constantly, and then it changes into something else. But it could easily have just continued that for the rest of the film, but it would have become repetitive. So it starts off as a monster movie, it becomes a slightly bizarre little invasion and control story. And does it all work? Not really, but it aims high and it mostly achieves what it's trying to do. For me, what works best is the fact that it's a combination of the concept and period charm. It's so clearly a 70s genre film. And there's a kind of texture to that as well that I really enjoyed. It's not polished, but they're kind of alive. The Empire of the Ants has this kind of X factor. It knows the audience that's coming to watch a giant ants movie, and it absolutely gives you that. Maybe they're not always convincing, but that doesn't need to be there. All the effects are kind of practical and just
She's the only one that can do it. She's the queen ant.
add to it. Now, there is things about this film that just don't work. It's not a great film in the traditional sense. The characters are a little bit thin. The dialogue sometimes can be clunky. The effects are wildly uneven, but always interesting. And the plot itself is just plain ridiculous. If you go into this thing expecting genuinely frightening ecological horror classic, you will be disappointed. This is far more entrenched within the cult B-movie pleasure. It's the kind of film you enjoy because the rough edges, not in spite of them. The question is not really, is Empire of the Ants any good? It's more, is it entertaining? And then on that note, I can say it's a resounding yes. I enjoyed it wildly. Let's dive into the disc. Have a look at the extras. Here we are in the disc to Empire of the Ants. You have an introduction by Chris Cook, which runs for 7 minutes, talking about his fascination and love for the film. Next, we have the big picture, an interview with Kim Newman, focused on the career of Bert I. Gordon, which runs for 18 minutes 14 seconds and talks about some of his famous films. There is a radio spot and the original theatrical trailer. Also included is a 16-page book with the essay Ants on an Elephant, Natural Horror, Killer Bugs and Empire of the Ants by Liam Hathaway. That's the extras for Empire of the Ants. So yeah, Empire of the Ants is a daft giant insect B-movie with just enough environmental bite to make it interesting. It's not surprising, it's exactly what it says on the box is what you're going to get. Giant ants causing chaos and a little bit of thematics thrown in. It's fun, it's silly. Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts on Empire of the Ants. Let me know in the comment box below whether you love it, hate it or fall somewhere in the middle. As always, there is more content up here. You can see more of my stuff in the description box or links to Patreon, membership program, manvfilm.com. Always in which you can support me. Thanks for watching. See you next time.